Well, hello. Give me a second here. I've got to figure out how to get the phone rotated. Okay. Which means now I have to change how I had it set up. Okay. Here is our guy Finn. He's very excited. You can just see it in his little face. And sorry, I'm getting some minor technical fun. Okay, I think that works. Okay, so clearly he is in need of a grooming. So before I got started here today with the one whole person who's with me live, hopefully there'll be other people joining in late or catching the replay. Brushed him out thoroughly so he's comb ready. That's always important. I can run a comb through all of his hair, even his very long, gnarly jacket, but he is totally comb ready. I shared an equipment list through Amazon, but the important things that you need for today are your workhorse. For me, I prefer the Oster Golden A5. They do make a 2-speed model. Mine is very old, and so it only comes in, there was only a 1-speed at the time. It doesn't really matter if you get a 2-speed or not. I prefer the A5 because it stays nice and cool, and this thing just never seems to die. It's just, it is my workhorse. I prefer the corded version just because I only groom my dogs, and so I'm not in a massive grooming, and so I don't want to have to deal with rechargeable batteries. So that is my my workhorse, my Golden A5. You also need a finish trimmer. In this case, any finish trimmer will work. I like this Oster finisher. It's very, very quiet. You can hear how quiet it is. But the drawback on this one is the blade is extremely sensitive. You have to be very, very careful not to let it knock against anything, or you will knock it out of whack, and it's almost impossible to get the blade relined up and get it to start cutting again. So that is a detriment of this one, is it's very, very sensitive. So whenever I'm grooming, I make sure that I have it set someplace where there's not a chance it can fall down. The next thing we need is the blades that we're going to trim with. With one of these razors, and if you do choose to get the Andes, they have the same thing, but you want to make sure that whichever of the razors that you get is the kind that takes the detachable blades, and they all take the same kind, so you're looking for these. When you buy the razor, it comes with a number 10 blade. The blades are in reverse order by size. So the bigger the number, the shorter it'll cut the hair. We generally don't use a number 10 on a Schnauzer. So for the body, you're going to use this one. It's a number, be careful not to drop it. It's a number 9 blade. For Finn, since I'm mimicking a show coat on him, I actually use a number 7 blade, which is much fatter, which is this guy. If you like a longer hair when you're done, then just get a bigger number for your razor. I also prefer a ceramic blade. I find that it goes through a coarser, denser coat a little bit better, but again, it's up to you and on how much you want to spend. I generally find that the ceramics aren't really that much more money. So for Finn, we'll be using this number 7 blade. You also are going to need this little guy, which is a 30. The 30 is for trimming your drippies and danglies. We want those nice and tight. And then for Finn, I do switch over to the number 9 blade, mostly for his cheeks and for his chest. So those are the blades that generally I use. Some people also like to go with this guy, which, oh, that's my number 10. Some people also like to use a 15, so they may want to leave them a little longer in different places. It's really up to you. If you are grooming for show, you would be using a 15 and a 30, but we're not grooming for show today. We are doing our pet grooming. So that means for our little buddy Finn, we are primarily going to be using our 7 and our 30 and the finish trimmer. The other things that you see out here are stuff that I've acquired over the years that just make my life easier. So this is a little tray that I got at a dog show. Here, let me rotate you a little bit. One of the nice things about it is it's got this little metal plate, because after you are grooming for a while, the blade itself will get warm. And this is a heat sink, and so it actually pulls the heat off of the blade, which Finn does appreciate. Huh, buddy? Yeah, you appreciate that? Yes, thank you for the kisses. You always want to groom with a table and an arm, even though he's generally a very good boy and has been taught to be groomed. It just makes life easier if you're not having to chase him around. So this is my grooming table. You get a height that works for you. I like one that's just about hitting my waist height. And this is my little grooming smock. Makes it so that all of this sharp little hair doesn't embed itself in me. We also you need a variety of scissors and other implements that we get into on furnishing days, but today our focus is on the shaving, right, buddy? Yes, thank you. Very sweet boy. He's trying to get out of this because he's smart and nobody likes this part. So on your Oster, to change blades, it has let's see if you can see that very well. So it's got this little hinge, and the blade itself has a space right here. So you slide that into the hinge, so it's sitting like this, and then you turn it on, and then you can snap the blade in place. So we turn it on always, and then snap the blade in place, and now it's attached. The other item that you want to purchase for when you're shaving is this is a 5-in-1. This one happens to be made by Andy's. Oster also makes one. It doesn't really matter what it's called, but you're looking for the 5-in-1. What that means is it is a coolant, it's a disinfectant, a lubricant, a cleaner, and a rust preventative. We don't really have an issue with the rust piece, but the important piece is the coolant, disinfectant, and the lubricant. The disinfectant meaning when I move from shaving like his ears to his bum or back, I don't transfer any of the bacteria from his bottom to his ears or vice versa. Also, you will use it between dogs. I'm also going to use it when I hear the pitch of my blade change. The rest of the maintenance on the Oster, you just pretty much follow the manual. There's a place where you can add grease. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff with the machine to keep it moving. In general, this, like I said, this is a workhorse, and there's very little that you really need to do other than giving this thing a good shake and spraying the blade. And I don't know if you could hear that, but I could. There was a change in pitch of when the blade, once I started spraying it, it started, it got a higher pitch. It started running quicker, which is one of the things that we like. And then mostly I'm just kind of wiping off the hair that kind of worked itself through. And also I was a little generous because I was modeling, and so I got some lubricant on the housing, which makes it a little slippery for me. So that is our blade. Are you ready, buddy? Yeah? We're gonna give you a haircut? Yeah. He's very excited. Can't you tell? Look at his excitement. Yeah? You excited for everybody? You wanna say hi? Say hi, crowd. Yes. Okay, so, yeah, hi, buddy. So when we are trimming, everything is based on the body of the dog. And if you're on here because you've bought one of our Schnauzers, I know my mother has gone over this, or I've gone over this with you lots of times about how we groom to the shape of the dog. We also, there's a diagram on our website, and afterwards I'll post the direct link to it. It has been borrowed from the American Miniature Schnauzer Club. So the first thing is we have to look at the line on the dog. So if you feel your Schnauzer, and I'll give you a second to go grab your Schnauzer while I grab a quick drink. Okay, so we determine the line based on the structure of the dog. So I'm feeling his leg for the bone. And there is, when you run your hand down the leg, you will feel the bone right here of his elbow. When I put my finger into that bone, I'm gonna set basically my middle finger onto the bone, and then my top finger sits on it, and right here is where the line starts on him. Something that your pet groomer will frequently makes an error in is they start the line way up high because they mistakenly use his white, turn your face a little bit, his white color band. And please note that when I'm moving him around, for those of you who are concerned about his happiness and well-being, I am using, again, the structure of my dog to manipulate him so that he is not in any kind of pain or discomfort. So my hand is on his lower jawbone and the top of his head. So I'm not impeding his breathing or anything, and I'm just moving his head, and he's not providing me any strong resistance. So just want to put that out there, you know, for people who may be sharing the video so I don't get hate mail about how I'm abusing my poor little Finny boy. And you can see he's very abused, right, Finn? Yes, give me kisses. So a lot of pet groomers will see that white line right there and think, oh, that's where the line goes, which puts it up here. And you can see it's in reality, the line is down here. So we find it, again, by putting your finger here and your finger there, and that's where the line starts. And you can see that's where his line starts. Then we're going to come over here to his groin. Yes, I know, don't look. And I'm feeling for kind of where there's assuming that your dog is the correct weight, there's kind of like a little indentation right here where it switches from his thigh into his loin. So right about there, and when we take a pinch, his skin is right here, and I'm looking about 2 fingers width up. So I guess my spot is about this much of my thumb up. And that's my other connecting point. Stand still, buddy. So once I find my 2 spots here and here, now we're going to basically draw a line. So we're going to go straight, and then we're going to go up. And that's the first part in setting the line. Now, hopefully your line was set correctly to begin with, and you can just follow the line. But as time goes by, and as you groom more and more, your line will move around. And so it's good to know where it's supposed to be so you can make sure it stays there the whole time. The other piece when you are shaving, and this is especially important for your black and silvers, it's a little less important for a salt and pepper, but to maintain the solid black color, we want to shave with the grain, meaning we are going to shave down the dog, not up the dog. That does provide a little more challenge. It's a little more difficult to get a nice, smooth, even trim when you're going with the hair growth. It's quicker and easier to go against. A lot of people, especially if they have a salt and pepper, will go against because it's faster and you can just like zip and be done. You really, really don't want to do that with your black and silver because it will break the coat, meaning you're going to lose your black color quickly. So for me, even though I've got him on his thing, he's on the loop with my table. I still put my hand on his shoulders. It makes it so I can control his entire front end, which is something I need to do. And hopefully I won't have to. Whoops, my brush fell down. But don't be afraid to use your Schnauzer mom voice or dad voice, because if they're not behaving, you need to give them a firm no or be still. Right, Piper? Yes, little Piper is down here on the floor trying to steal the brush. Because sometimes they don't want to cooperate. But my hand is right here. It's in front of, here's his shoulder blades. I've got my hand right here in front of those shoulder blades so that I can manipulate his shoulder blades, which makes it so I can move his front end around without any issues. And you can see he doesn't seem to have an issue. So what I'm doing is holding my blade in my razor in this position because I'm going to come down and then stop when I get to here. Now, I'm going to be doing this rather rapidly because I've been doing this for a very long time. The first few times you're doing it, you're going to kind of go a little bit and then check it and a little bit and check it until you get a good feel for it. For me, we're just going to come straight down. And you can see that sometimes it takes a few passes by. This is a good place where you have your good slicker brush. We prefer a Chris Christensen. It's kind of expensive, but it's a nice, soft, friendly brush. But now I can do a little brush off and see, stand, where I put it. And again, I put my fingers here, and I can see that I got my hair right down my line right where I wanted it. So we got it right there. Now we're going to go, once I've gotten this part done, we're going to go this way to that line back here. Now he's got some wispy going on, so you have a couple of options to keep this hair out of the way. I'm going to use a little mink oil because it provides some nice conditioning, but you can also do some good old-fashioned static guard. It's cheaper, works great. Personally, the smell of it really drives me crazy, so I tend to just go with my mink oil or something else. But it makes it so in our dry climate, the furnishing hair doesn't fly up and get in my way, making it difficult for me to see. So now we're going to just go down along the line. So starting here, I'm going to put my hand over here because the skin is loose. And I'm just going to kind of draw a line using the bottom of my blade to follow along on that line. If you're unsure, it's better to go a little bit high and then come down than to mix. So I'm going to go forward. And right here, because of how the body is structured, there's some loose skin, so I use my thumb to kind of pull it forward. And I'm just sort of lightly going over it, pulling the hair back. Take it off my blade. Be careful I don't hit the blade on the table. That would be really sad. Now I'm going to do a little brushing to see where I've gotten to and if I need to do any more adjustments. And you notice I've got some more flyaways. So a quick little misting there gets those hairs out of the way. So now we can look at it and go, okay, did I put the line exactly where I wanted it? Is it too high? Is it too low? If it's too low, then you just need to make a mental note of that. And next time you groom, make it a little higher because you can't put the hair back on, but yay, hair grows. So amazingly enough, I put the line exactly where I want it because, well, you know, I've done this for a while. But if you, well, you probably can't see very closely, but there's some extra hair right here that's hanging out. That is 100% just the way he's built. There's a big muscle right here, you know, running, jumping, all that fun stuff. And so when the razor went over, it just sort of glazed over that. So we're going to need to work into that pocket a little bit. So I'm just going to come down, being careful not to get into the furnishings. So just by pulling the hair, the skin in some different directions, I can get some tautness on the skin. And then he likes to look. You'll get a smoother cut if you keep the blade flat against the body. So I'm trying to keep it flat. If you roll it up, then you're not going to get as good of result. And when you're not dealing with as big of a blade as I'm working with right now, meaning a 7, if you're working with like a 10 or a 15 or one of the tighter cutting blades, when you roll it like this, you'll end up actually cutting closer to the skin and you'll get an uneven look. So again, we can do a quick brush down. Take a look at how the line is set. It's also a good opportunity to scoop up some of all of this hair and put it in the trash. You see my brush collects a lot. This is why one of my tools up here is my slicker brush. And when I'm maneuvering around, you notice I keep putting my hand on my razor because it makes me very sad if my razor hits the ground. Move forward a little bit, buddy. All right, so that's this line. And yes, I know there's some little chunks and stuff. I haven't gotten to smoothing it out. Right now, we're mostly working the line. So now I need him to stack. So I've got his front end. His front feet are directly under his shoulders. And I've got his back legs where his toes, thank you, Finny, are lined up with, if you feel on his bum, right here, there's a little bone. I affectionately call it his butt pin. It feels like a little pin kind of sticking out. That pin should be in a direct line over his tips of his toes. So I want him stacked nicely for me. So here's his nice good stack. Now we're going to get the hair to lay down. And again, we're going off of structure. And all of this is on that diagram on the website. So I'm feeling right around here. There's another little bone. There it is. And that little bone right there is where the furnishings, the line should go. So I'm looking for that line. So here's that little bone, here's that little pinch, and then we're gonna do a gentle kind of a swoop so that it follows the contour of the muscling. It's not a straight line. I put my hand on it, you can maybe see, and I'm not sure how good you can, but if you could see, there's not a direct, it's not a straight line. It's just a kind of gentle curve. The exact curve is a little bit of your choice. So, and based on the structure of the dog, when we're grooming for show, we're looking at, you know, things that we want to accentuate or minimize, things like that. I have it kind of like just a gentle little swoop, and again, you're looking for that little bone. Then we come to the back end, and when you look at his back, come here, Finn, let's turn you around here for me, buddy. So right here is a bone, so his leg sweeps down, and then there's a bone, and then it goes whoop, straight down. So that little bone is the top. This is called his hock. We're feeling for the top of his hock. We're going to put our hand on his hock, and when our finger is on the edge of that bone, it's about 4 fingers width is where we stop shaving. So you can see right about there is where we're going. So that means we've got a spot here. There's my little bone here. And we're going to connect those two with, again, kind of a gentle little swoop Some people do more of a straight line. It's never a upward curve. It's either a straight line or usually a little bit of a downward curve, kind of however you want it. So again, we're going to play connect the dots. So we have the dot up here. Yes, I know. The dot here and the dot here, and we're going to just connect those dots and give us a nice little swoop down. Aim higher your first swipe through, and then you can adjust. So when I mean aim higher, I mean like this. You pull off some of the top hair. Now, he's giving me the eye right now because I'm getting near his bottom and his penis, and as a boy, he's a little sensitive. So if you could tell, which you probably can't because of the detail of Facebook and cell phone cameras, I'm very much too high. But that's okay. I've pulled off this section, so it makes it a little easier for me to see, especially if it's been a while since he's been groomed. So now I can bring my line down a little tighter. But being careful I don't get into or too far down. And there's a nice smooth line on the one side. How buddy? Yeah. All right. Now, there's still a little bit of jaggedness, especially up here where we have a little extra skin. So that part needs to be smoothed out, but I prefer to get all my lines set. No hair, Piper. Shoot, go away. So little puppy Piper, I don't know what it is with puppies, but they love to eat hair. So some of the hair that's hit the floor, she just went and put in her mouth. So excuse me for a moment to pull the hair out of Piper's mouth. So now we need to do the other side. So I'm gonna kind of push him forward. Actually, we'll just spin the table around. That way you can see him better. Okay. All right. Table spin. And voila, table spin. Hi, buddy. Same technique. Find the bone, get it measured, find your other spots. My fingers down here, find the little bone there, do my little pinch so I know how much, right? And then we're gonna connect here to here to here to here. Piper, don't eat the hair. This is also a good time to lubricate my blade. So let's see if you can hear it. Listen closely. Don't know if you heard it, but I heard the change in pitch. That's generally a good indicator that I needed to lubricate. The other thing while you're trimming, now if I hadn't kept stopping to explain things, when I'm going, I will periodically stop and put the blade to my forearm, kind of like how you test baby's milk from a bottle to make sure it's not too hot. If I can put it on my forearm and it doesn't burn me, then I'm good to go to keep using it on him. So here we go. We're going to do the other side. So we're coming down to that spot. And I'm holding him in a way that I can control where his leg is. And then we're going to go this direction connecting the dots, using the bottom of my razor as my line. And it helps me to go this direction because I'm right-handed. Again, right now, I'm connecting the dots and just sort of pulling off the big chunks of his hair so I can see what I'm doing and fine-tune it. Because Finn, my friend, has very thick hair. Coming down the leg like this, I find, especially with a very thickly coated dog like Finn, gets me a nice smooth cut. And it's not going with the grain, it's kind of a 90 degrees. And so it doesn't tend to break the hair, but still gets me cutting through it. So checking the blade, it's now a little bit, it's gotten warm, but it's not anywhere near hot. I'm hoping you can still hear me. If you can't, if you put a comment, I think it'll pop up. Since I just ran through a bunch of hair, it's also a good time to do a quick spritz. Maybe a little in the corner there. I give it a little shake to get some of the hair out of the side. Another good indicator when you need to lubricate your blade is when it's not cutting as well as it had been. What I did just there was feel for the bone. Just to make sure I'm getting where I need to be. Okay, so as you saw, that side was much quicker, but mostly because I didn't stop to tell you where to measure. Now, because of this little puppy running around, I am going to be very much scooping up the hair, so I don't have to fish it out of Piper's mouth. I don't think it would be all that bad for her to eat it, but it can't be good either. Huh, Piper? Hi, Finn. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the line. Getting a little flyaway, so we'll give it a little spritz here. Get it to lay down. Because now we need to check to make sure that even after all of our measuring, we made the line the same on both sides. So, the way I do that is I tend to come from behind and asking him to stay in front of me, which may mean you need daddy or somebody to stand there and say, look this way, hey buddy. Mine are fairly good at, I can just push their head and say, stay there. So I'm gonna put my hand on one side, put my hand on the other side, and then I kind of just lay my hand against where the line is, and then I can feel the body and then kind of look and see, is my hand in the same place? And it is. So we're good there. Same thing here. I'm going to kind of grab, I'm laying my hand here, touching there, laying my hand and touching, looking to see, is my hand in the same spot? It is. Good job. I'm not surprised, but yay. Okay, now my back is a little bit off, but I hadn't tightened that up yet. I'm a little high on this side, which makes sense because I just did a quick roll through. So we're going to bring this side down a little bit. Easy. Okay. Now we're going to roll through his neck and his top line. So basically, there's no line to deal with, but there's a lot of extra hair. So I'm going to make sure he's facing forward, and I'm going to kind of pull so that I have good tension on the skin. Stop it. And roll along, keeping it nice and smooth. Coming down the side a little bit. Now, right now, I can feel on the razor's housing that the side of the machine is getting warm. That's, for me, a good indicator I need to do a test. And nope, the blade itself is still good. Now, I tend to like to do a little diagonaling in here. That's my preference. If you can get a nice clean cut without that, by all means. I don't do a strong diagonal, and I never go this way. Always going with the grain, but doing a little diagonal, I find helps make it a smoother cut. So, especially coming down here, down his thigh and on his bum. Now at this point, usually I've been running the blade straight, and so my blade is hot. And so I don't want to continue with a hot blade onto his chest and his head. That's how you get one of the ways you can get razor burn and hot spots, and he won't appreciate that. So I'm gonna switch out my blade. To switch it out, there's the little button on the back. So I'm gonna push it, pull the blade up. I do this while it's off, slide it out. Now for me, because I have my fancy little tray here, I'm going to put it on the heat sink and swap out for my number 30 blade, because we are going to do his bum now. So there's my little hinge, the gap on the blade, slide it in. If there's a ton of hair in here, it's a good opportunity to kind of pull it out. The razors come with little brushes and stuff. I don't fuss with that. So slide it in, turn it on, snap it in place, give it a little spritz. You should have heard the pitch change. I do a little wipe with my paper towel so it's not super greasy. And now I'm ready to go with the next one. Why did we give it a little spritz? Because I generally forget to give it a little spritz after I do the last dog, and so spritzing it now makes sure that it's very much clean regardless of wherever I last did it. So now we're going to do his bum. Yay for bums. We are going to make everything in white is going to be done with the 30. If you have a boy, you may want to check his anal glands, which is really gross, and you can Google it. I'm not going to do a full-on demonstration because I drained his a couple of days ago. But when you're doing this, if your boy clenches like mine does, and you get a disgusting fish smell, then that means you need to drain his anal glands. It's gross, but it's easy, because you're going to pull up on his tail, and right here, if you feel some little, kind of like they're like little BBs, then that means the anal glands are full of whatever that stinky stuff is, and Finn and I call it butt juice. And Finn has really good accuracy and will shoot it right into my face. Mind you, I just scratched my face with this finger, not to, I just grabbed his little, just so you don't get grossed out. So I always make sure before I shave his bum that I check and clean those out, because I've gotten hit with butt juice before, and we're just gonna leave it at that, you can imagine. So, because this is the 30, the 30 is very, very tight. We're pretty much gonna go all over the directions because there's little curly cues and hair going this way and hair that way and this way and that way, and there is no one way, and so it doesn't really matter. We're going to do whatever method it takes to get all the white hair cut. And you might be able to see that he just clenched. The one thing you do want to be careful is that you don't cut his butthole. So I tend to start on the edge of it and go outward so that I don't inadvertently cut him and cause him to bleed. Oh, you're fine. And that was him reminding me that he doesn't want me to make him bleed. And if you do get a little bit of bleeding, it's not the end of the world, even though they might think it is. All you have to do is get a little quick stop. And then it's all better. All right, so now this is not very clean and tidy yet because Finn has got so many little curly cues in here. Oh, it looks like I did nick him. I'm sorry, buddy. That I can never get him nice and smooth and tight with the main blade, and so this is where I get out my finish trimmer. For those of you who were at the beginning, I said that it was a very sensitive little blade. So I'm going to give it a little bit of spritz. Again, I want to make sure that it is super clean so I don't move germs around. But it's important to only hit it with the blade and not let any of the stuff get into it. So we have to do it like that. And then very much gently give it a little wipe, like so. And now we can finish tidying up these areas. And with this blade, it's not impossible, but it's really, really hard to cause an injury. So if in doubt and you're in this area, just use your finish trimmer. And you don't have to worry about accidentally cutting your dog. This may sound heartless and cruel, but it's not the end of the world. We've all gone a pedicure where they've gotten a little close and it stung, but you didn't die from it, so life is okay. So we're just going to tighten this up using my little finish trimmer, and he's just doing he's putting his little tail over, so he's protecting his bum. I find boys are more protective than girls on this kind of thing. I don't know what you guys find, but that's what I find. Okay, now again we're going back to measuring. So the next thing we're going to measure is how far down do we shave here? Well, we shave one razor blade. So that means I'm going to shave right here. Now, if you couldn't see, Finn just clenched again because he's nervous about his male anatomy. And it's okay, buddy. I'm nervous about that too. We don't want to injure anything down there. So we're going to very carefully shave right here and shave right there. If you're nervous, just switch over to your finish trimmer. Just remember that you're looking at a space this wide. You can also lift the leg up a little bit and just go right in like that. And right in, and then tighten it up a little bit. I'm doing a little blending here with my razor. If you're feeling skilled, go for it. You can blend with yours. You may not be feeling skilled yet with the razor to do blending, but you know. I'm also going to do a little blending on the top of his tail with my razor. Stop. So basically I just kind of floated the razor over the top of his tail. You don't want to do that yet. You're not ready. That's like advanced Schnauzer grooming. And now I'm just kind of tightening up the tip of his tail. Drives me crazy when there's a little hair left over there. It's like it's got a little duck tail, and I'm like, you're not a duck. So just fixing and tightening up this line, because I'm a perfectionist. Okay, so that's that part of him. And you can see that he is very much don't shave that area. And some girls get a little emotional, but I find boys are just very much into that. Yes, poor Finn. All right, so that was the danglies. Now we have to do the drippies. The easiest way to do the drippies is to hold up his legs. And this works for the girls too. Still using my number 30, we're going to shave from the bottom to the belly button, which is right about there. It's helpful if you kind of move this hair out of the way. How far you go is a matter of preference. If in doubt, leave hair. You can always scissor it later. And on a boy, make sure you do not let the top of the blade touch any of his precious parts, or you will give him razor burn and he will be cranky little boy about it. So very, very flat, coming over it, coming down, along the side, coming down the front of his testicles, along the side, and up. Now, I haven't gotten here or here yet, because that's better done holding a leg up in the air. That's also where I can get to his testicles a little easier. And we'll tighten up the end of his penis a little bit there too. So again, very flat. It may help to have a friend move the testicles out of the way. Hold still. If your young man doesn't have testicles anymore, it makes it a little easier back here. Hi, Finn. Yes, I know. Give me the other side, please. So, same thing on this side. And what I'm doing is the hair a little bit grows on the bottom of the testicle, but not a lot. Mostly it grows around the edges. And so I'm very carefully, and by lifting his leg up, it opens up the gap between his testicles and his leg. And I'm able to very gently kind of float the razor into that space. And this is the place I move the very slowest, because he's the most sensitive, and it's super easy to catch this thin hair skin into my blade. And what I did there was I got under the hair, and then I pushed and flattened the testicle so that I didn't give razor burn on the skin. So I slid forward, push down, and then move forward. And if you could see real close, you would see that I have nice, smooth, cleanly shaved testicles, which, I don't know, do you all, if men appreciate that or not, but I like that on my Schnauzer, so there you go. Now we need to make sure that this is, again, for me, I like my little Schnauzer penises as hairless as they can be because he likes to give me hugs and I don't like wet spots. So I'm gonna go with the leg lift. And I've got my finish trimmer because I have much better control and there's much less a risk of hurting him. And I'm going to finish pulling off the hair right on the tip here. I'm still being slow and careful that I don't give him any kind of nicks or cuts or any kind of razor burn because he won't appreciate that, and then you won't appreciate the vet bill. Now, even after all of that very carefulness, little sharp hairs get everywhere, and you can buy witch hazel in a wipe. It does dry out after a bit, and so if you have witch hazel in a bottle, you can just kind of pour a little extra in there. And I love my witch hazel wipes because then, unlike my mom, who then has to get out a cotton ball and blah, 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 I can just grab one little wipey. And even though I'm going to give him a bath afterwards, just to make everybody's life easier, we're going to just give his little genitals a quick little wipe here with the witch hazel wipe. And you can see, maybe you can see all the hair that just came off of that. And again up here on his bum and around his testicles. And I'm doing that right now because things I'm certain are itchy and annoying now. I'm certain because I have put him on the ground before after this stage because something happened or whatever, and he's gone immediately crazy licky. And you can see there's lots of hair. So that's not dirt you're seeing. That's just a lot of hair. And that's got to be really itchy and annoying for the poor guy. So that's mostly for his comfort while we finish the grooming. So now his bum is pretty much done. Now it's time for his head. Yay! So this part, yeah, hi buddy. I take them off of the loop. Works better. Get the loop out of the way. We're also going to, now, with yours, if you've trained them not to jump off the table, taking your hand off of them to reach for a tool, not going to be the end of the world. If you don't know he won't jump, when you take the loop off, you keep your hand on him. Don't want my 30 on here anymore. So I'm going to pop that off, push the button, pull it out. I got a little bit of hair I'm going to flick. Keeping my hand on my Schnauzer. I'm going to pull out my number 7. Because remember, I like a longer hair on him. You're going to be pulling out your number 9. It's a much easier length to work with, and it will still leave the hair nice and long. Piper. Piper, no. Toys. And as always, we give it a little spritz. All right, now what we're going to be doing, again, we use the structure of the dog, but in this case, I'm going to start by, here's his eyebrows, so I'm going to start like basically in the middle of his head, and I'm going to pull his head down, not hurting him, I'm just bringing his head down, because the neck skin is very loose, and if I don't, I can't get through it. So I'm going to pull his head down so I can shave through this. Be cautious and attentive to the ears. There's lots of edges on the ears, and when you're using a body blade like a 7 or a 9, there is the potential for the edge of the ear to go in between the tines of the razor, which means you will cut the blade. Oh, thank you. So here we go. Head down, starting about the middle, right down the center. Pulling the ear, not hurting him, but keeping the skin tight. Because I've got to go down, but keep the skin tight the whole way. Now, if you remember, when we were doing this side, how we were a little choppy over here, and I was like, we're not going to worry about that yet. We'll get to it here in a bit. Welcome to a bit. It's now time to get to that. So, again, and the reason why he's not in the loop right now, in case you couldn't figure it out, is the loop goes around his neck, and guess what we're shaving right now? His neck. So it helps, and you may not be able to see very well because of this, but it helps if you can kind of pull their head around. It makes the skin nice and tight. And tight skin makes a nice even trim. And, oh, you can see, that's good. So there's that side. Now we're going to basically do the same thing. And now because it's this side, come on, Finn, turn your head. And come down. Piper, what are you doing? Oh, for my friends out there with puppies from our last litter, like I have, you know when things get quiet in the house, they're up to no good. Okay, so that was this part of the neck. Now we have to do this part of the neck / chest. So, again, we're going to come down, but because, again, of all the random swirlies and things that end up here, you may end up kind of going up as well to get a smooth cut. It's a little tricky. But one of the things that we're wanting to do is connect our lines. And this is an area that a pet groomer will mess up on, a pet shop groomer, is they'll leave a bib. And so they'll leave this whole white here, and it's supposed to be a nice straight line. So we've measured, right? We measured our fingers on the edge. So here's where our hair is. We're going to connect the line. So I'm going to connect my line first. And with your black and silvers, you can, and I would, totally shave in the upward direction like you just saw me do, because this is white, and if you break the white coat, it's just going to go white. So, meh. And I'm just holding him by his little chin hairs because he's a Schnauzer, and that's the easiest way to do it. So now I've connected my lines. This stuff is mostly going to get cut off when we do furnishings. But it's being a little wispy and out of the way, so give it a little spritz, and now it's back down. Now we need to do this part, And this part I'm going to try as much as I can to go down so we maintain color. For a salt and pepper like Finn, that's not as important. For a black and silver, the more you can go with the hair growth, the better. But you can see, well, maybe you can't. It's a little bit choppy and because of the structures. If you feel your dog's neck, you can feel the rings on his throat, and it's a very lumpy. It's almost impossible to keep the blade nice and smooth to it. And since Finn is salt and pepper, and so I'm not worried about color breaking, I'm going to cheat. And look at that, it's perfect. And then I'm going to come down on the sides to blend my cheating in with my non-cheating. And we're definitely getting a little warm. And now it's not warm. Okay, so that was our lovely neck. So now I can loop him back up, which is his safety and my peace of mind. So now I don't have to worry so much about keeping my hands on him the whole time. I can focus more on controlling his movements and keeping the body part where I want it, not worrying about him falling off the table. Huh, buddy? Yes. All right, now, a lot of people switch from their whole body groomer to a shorter one, like for your case, the 10. I'm actually going to swap over to my number 9 because, remember, I use a 7 for him in my other places. So I'm going with a shorter blade now. And that's because of this. If you look at the picture I used for the event, his back looked like he could have gone another couple weeks, but his head was like, wah! And that's because I used the 7 all over on him last time. And so this hair was the same length, and well, he gets curly hair on his head, and his ears are like little, I don't know how he grows that much hair in his ears. So we're going to use a 1-step smaller blade. So if you were using a 9 for the body, you'll switch over to a 10 on his head. Just be careful and make sure that you do the blending nicely, which is why we started in the middle of his skull and went back, because this edge of the bone is a great transitions place with my 9. Or in your case, the 10. Oh, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go against the grain. I know I've been telling you not to, but now we're on the head, different game. And we're going to start at the base of the ear and go forward. If you have a floppy ear, please note that the back side of the ear, you have a double flap going on. So feel the ear carefully so you don't accidentally cut him. With a cropped ear, I don't have that problem. Another good reason you should always crop your Schnauzer's ears. Oh, I forgot to tell you what I'm going for. Okay, when I look at my head, there is a whisker somewhere right over here. Right there. You can't see it, but there's a little whisker right here. I am making an imaginary line without the skin being pulled tight between that whisker and the corner of this buried eye. And I am shaving to that. I am not going to expose the eye. Right? So, yeah. You'll get the feel of it. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just come from that corner up to the beard. If it helps, see, there's my whisker. Nice and easy to see on this one. If you shave the whisker off, and then you have to look for the little whisker nub, which is probably what happened on that side. And a little smoothing here. All right, those are his cheekies. Now, got hair in my nose. All right, now I'm going to find his little lovely eyebrows. And what I'm doing is putting my hand over his eyebrows. So my thumb is going to cover up the eyebrow hair on his one eye, and the rest of my hand on the eyebrow on the other eye. And that's so I don't accidentally shave off his eyebrows while I do the top of his head. What I did just there was, again, I had my thumb on the eyebrow, and basically you're going to be shaving a razor's width between the ear and the eye. Part of the ear is right here, and this is another part of the ear that if you are really digging in with your razor and you come at it at this angle, you will run the flap of skin between here and make a really nasty little cut that I don't recommend doing. So it's better to come at this from this angle, because then it pushes the ear flat against the head and avoids that. Or coming at it from this angle. You never want to come at it this angle. That's how you cut the ear. So I'm going to come at it from that angle. Same thing on this side is I'm going to put my thumb on the eyebrow so I don't get it, and make sure that I am getting around the eye. Okay. Now, even though we are not doing furnishings today, I always do the eyebrows when I do the shaving because, well, look at that. I can't. So, I brush everything down forward, and now I'm going to find the eyeballs themselves. Oh, look, there's his eyeball. Feeling for it, and then figuring out which hair is eyebrow hair and which hair is head hair. If you're confident in your abilities, then you can do this. I'm going to go with you are not confident in your abilities, in which case you are going to take out your handy dandy thinning shears. I put a link to a very nice pair that's not too super expensive on my Amazon wish list link. Please don't buy them for me. It's just so that you can find a pair that I think would be good for you. And you pull the hair back that you think should be not eyebrow hair. And then you take your thinning shears and you use those to kind of remove it. And then you look, because the thinning shears are much more forgiving. And with the razor, a little slip of the razor and now the entire eyebrow is missing. With the thinning shears, you can be like, ooh, that part should come off. And you kind of just sort of cinch it away with your hand or the scissors. And then you can just do a little bit of like, scissor it away, and then look at it again. And then you can just kind of keep going back and forth and adjusting. And, oh, I think that should come off too. And just do a little more and maybe a little bit right there. And see how you can just sort of slowly, millimeter by millimeter, work your way back to the eyebrow shape that you want, if you're not feeling super confident. Then we're going to part the eyebrows, because you very much are going to use your thinning shears for the middle. So I move the eyebrows to the side, and then I kind of fluff the center, and then I'm going to take my thinning shears down the middle. Don't put them on the skull, kind of put them to the skull and then raise them a little bit so you don't end up with a bald spot. If you do end up with a bald spot, not the end of the world. In a couple of days, the bald spot will have hair again. And then I can use my thinning shears to kind of make that little diamond shape that we want. And if you're looking at the grooming chart on the website, you'll understand what I mean by the diamond shape. If you didn't know that directly above this spot in my house, my brother, who is an electrician, DCES Electrical, that's his company. He installed it for me. It's fabulous. Give him a call. He can put one in for you too, give you a great deal. Best electrical company in the town. Now hopefully I'm not going to be in trouble with him because I plugged his business. Really is good. But I'm using my thinning shears to very carefully remove the center so that we don't have a unibrow. And voila, no more unibrow. Okay, now we got to do these ears, and that's pretty much the last part we need to do for shaving. I'm going to change blades on my big guy again. Take off my 9. A 9 is a dangerous blade to work on the ears, cropped or uncropped, because it's got space to slide skin in there. You want to go with your 10 or 15 or your 30. Honestly, it really doesn't matter which one you choose. You're not going to be pushing it down tight. But it's important to go with and I'm going with a 30, and I'm going to, as I said earlier, I'm going to kind of float it. But as always, I spritz it first. So what I'm going to do is float this little guy. So I'm going to grab his ear, and right here is, and when it's shaved, you'll be able to see it better. But right here is a soft little kind of flappy part of a cropped ear. That's on a cropped ear where you're most likely to cut the ear. On an uncropped ear, it's actually the back side that's missing on him that is going to be your most likely spot to nick him. So on the back of the ear, we are going to force it to be flat and go with the hair. One basic swipe with our big guy, and then we're going to switch to the finish trimmer. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the inside. You be still. And do one swipe up through the center. And all of this hair that's now on the top of my blade is why the finish trimmer doesn't do thickness like that. It'll get bogged down and then die. So I want to kind of debulk the hair is kind of what I'm doing on this guy. So a little closer here, Finny. All right. Now, you may be able to see that little softness right there. If not, grab your own Schnauzer and take a look at how the ear is structured. Again, I'm going to very gently float it, and I'm keeping my hand on the ear so that I can feel where the blade is contacting everything so that I get a nice, even, smooth finish. Mine is going to be a nice, even, smooth finish because I've been doing ears for a very long time. Yours is probably going to be a little choppy and funky looking, and that's okay because hair grows. So now I've fixed this up, made it nice. Now I've got all these flyaways on the side. Again, this is where my hand is here. I'm going to take the blade and I'm going to basically kind of smush it into my finger to give a very crisp edge to the ear. Very gently smoothing it, gently pressing the edge of the blade into my finger so that I get that nice, crisp edge. And then very carefully doing the back side of the ear. Okay. Now, this is where many of our Schnauzers object, and boys do it more than girls. Don't ask me why. But now we're going to do the inside, and this is where you may have to take, no, you be still. Finn. Good boy. Be still. Stop. Same thing. We're going stop. Finn. Be still. And gently going to the edge, tapping it into my finger. And doing the whole ear. Oh, he says, yeah. And then we do the other side, and then we get out our little tweezers and we pluck out the inside of the ear. And that is how to shave a Schnauzer. The last step that you would need to do is put him in the bathtub. Because I only do a few dogs at a time, I tend to shave then bathe. At your professional groomers, they're going to bathe then shave because dirty will dull the blades faster. I'm not doing that many dogs, so I'm not overly worried about my blades getting dull that quickly. And they have to have a bath afterwards regardless because of all these little sharp hairs that are all over me. It's also why I need to have a bath next because I'm covered in all of these sharp little hairs that are poking and annoying me. So I'm going to sign off now and finish tidying up a few little spots here and there that you probably don't really care much to sit around and watch, and then dump him in the bathtub. And I will see you all next time when we do furnishings. He's going to get his furnishings done, maybe today, maybe in a few days. That one I won't be broadcasting, but when I do Nick's next, I'll probably broadcast her furnishings. That way the videos aren't ridiculously long. So thanks for joining me on this lovely Sunday. Finn is a good boy, and I think you agree, was an excellent model. And have fun with grooming your Schnauzer. Feel free to pop in and ask us any questions if you need to. Have a great rest of your day.